Good morning, Straight family. Suzanne here, and we have little Carl. I'll show you guys little Carl. Come here, little man. Come here. Up, up. Say hi to your family. He says, good morning, Mom and Dad. Good morning, brother and sister. He's looking at his food. We have his food here. I haven't fed him yet. It's 7:48. I've been up since 6 a.m. with him. I'm gonna put him down for a second. 6 a.m. with him. And I'm just now ready to start. I was in PJs and I decided to get dressed. So I am going to start doing what I started with him yesterday morning. And then I also worked with him during lunch and I worked with him during dinner. So I use his food bowl and you can see I have his kibble in here, and then I've added in some extra. It's actually like a training treat, soft training treat in there. So I'm gonna use that just to kind of motivate him a little bit more with the training. You're doing so good. And today I'm gonna be using a box. I've just been training him on the floor and I haven't had a leash on him at all. I've just been using a technique called luring with him, which is where you basically take a treat and you lure them into different positions and you reward them once they've done that. So now I'm actually going to use the leash and a little bit of leash pressure. So I've got a slip lead on him. And a slip lead I'll actually show you after, I'll take it off of him once I'm done so you can see, and you can see how I put it on him. One of them is gonna go home with him. I have a blue one coming for him. He's using one of mine right now that's a little too long for him, but it will work for him for right now. So, so the way that I train, I'm just gonna kind of give you this little bit of info first. The way I train when I'm doing it is I ask them for whatever position it is that I'm asking them to go into, because it's all basically positioning, right? A sit, a down, a stay, those are all positions. But they're verbal cues for those positions, those obedience positions. So once they've given us that, so like right now he's sitting in front of me just staring at me sitting, because he knows that I worked with him a million times on that yesterday. You're being so good, I'm gonna give you this. So this is what I'm gonna do. He's doing it, good sit. Yes, I'm gonna tell him yes, and I'm going to reward him with one treat. Good boy. Because I want to tell him, you have done what I've asked you to do, even though I didn't ask him in this particular circumstance, but you've done what I've asked you to do, so I'm going to tell you yes, and that yes precedes him being rewarded with a treat. Good boy. It gives him a way for him to understand that he has done what I've asked correctly. If he doesn't do it correctly, I go the opposite way. I tell him no, or I'll go, and then that way he's looked at me. That way he knows that he's done a mistake and we're gonna redo that again. He gets another opportunity to try again. So I make it very simple. I don't wanna use anything fancy because you guys don't need to have fancy trainer words. Yes and no, super simple. So what we're gonna be working on right now is what I started teaching him yesterday, which is sit, stand, and then down. I'm trying to train him to start doing what's called puppy push-ups. And then I also did come a little bit with him. He just tried to move. Good boy. And then I also did the first part of my training that I always start with, which is called look at me, which is for attention on my face, and then also to start building what's called impulse control. So I'm trying to slow down his brain processes so that he can give me focus and attention here so that he can see what I'm asking him, or sometimes it's even life-saving. But it really slows that brain down. It slows their neurotransmitters down right now, the way that they're forming. So we've got some time while he's still a young pup to slow those down so that he's not ADHD, because I've seen that, trust me. So let me take a sip of my coffee so I can start. All right, so I've got his bowl of food. He's never used this box before. I'm going to ask him to come up here. Let's go all the way up here, all the way. And I'm gonna put a couple treats at the back. So I'm basically coaxing him to come up onto this location. I want him to understand this is our working location. Up, up. and that nothing bad is going to happen with him being on here. Good boy. It helps him to have spatial awareness, and it also tells him again that we're working. So I'm gonna start with the first one. Look at me. So I'm holding the treat here to the center of my forehead. Yes, good boy. And that was just one treat. I'm going to take it now to my chin area because he already knows, look at me. I want him to look at my whole face. Look at me. Yes, good boy. That was about 4 or 5 kibbles. Now I'm going to start with impulse control building. So I have about 6. Underneath my chin again. Look at me. 1, 2, 3. Yes, good boy. And you'll notice that he's actually in a sit, and I didn't ask him to do that because if you ask them to look up at you, so I'm not down here, I'm straight up, he has to sit in order to look up at me. So I have his full attention on me. Beautiful. All right, so the next thing we're going to do, actually I'm gonna count to 5 with him. Look at me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, good boy. So you can see I say yes, and then I reward. Now I'm also hand feeding him because I want him to understand that hands are not to ever be bitten. So if he gets aggressive from me training him with his food, we're gonna stop. I'm gonna withdraw my hand and we'll pick it up a little bit later, but I'll let him know that no, you're not gonna do that by telling him no. So with that, you're also making them work for their food because if we were not putting a bowl of food down for them, all of our dogs, domesticated dogs, would have to search out, hunt, and forage for their food. So you're making him value his food more by making him work for his food. So I love using this because this is the best way to train. I'm 100% convinced. All right, I'm gonna do one more of those. Look at me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. And you saw he stayed in that position the entire time. So he's very excited because he knows that he's working for his food, but he's staying really nicely. So now he's in a sit, but I didn't ask him to do that, so I'm going to ask him to stand. So I'm just going to say stand, and I just basically put the treat to his face and take a little tiny step backwards. Sit. My sit is this. Sit, stand. So it's, oh, yeah. Okay, all the way up, baby. All the way. Come on, all the way up. All the way, come on. Up here again. Come on, get it. Good boy, yes. Up, up, up. Up, up. All right, I'm gonna use the slip lead to guide him up a little bit. This is way too long for him, but okay. All the way up. Come on. Good boy, yes. All the way. All the way, come on. You have all that food. Put your little butt up here. Okay, good. All right. So, smarty pants. Come on, all the way. Uh-oh, up, up. All right. All the way. Yes, there we go. No. All the way. Come on, come on. This is where everything good happens, little man. Over here, come on. Right here, come on. No, over here. Over here, good. Sit, so I'm gonna hold him there so he doesn't move. Good, all right. So I've got his treats, I've got his food. I'm gonna have him do a stand again because he's in a SIT. Stand, and I'm just asking him to come into that position where he's in a standing position. He's eating, yes, good boy. Now, I'm not saying YES every time right now, you guys, because I'm talking right now with you, but when I'm training him, I do. So I'm gonna take breaks in between, stop talking so much so you can see exactly what I'm doing, okay? So I'll do that again, the right way. Stand, yes! And I'm rewarding, good boy, good. Now I'm gonna give him the hand signal, sit, 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 yes, reward, good, very good. Okay, and now his new one that he learned yesterday. okay? Down, all the way. Yes, good down, buddy. Good down. Very good. Very good. Okay, and he's staying in that DOW, up, down, all the way. Again, all the way. There you go, yes. Staying in that position.